In this video, I'm going to be talking about generative music and how you can use randomized effects and MIDI effects to really begin to come up with new ideas that you might not have. I like to think of this as like the moth in the machine, or letting the computer speak for a little bit. Because sometimes when we're making music, we can get a little stuck, right? Especially if we're alone. We're making a track, we've got a melody, and we don't quite know where to go with it. That would be a great instance to collaborate with some other music producer. Well, using generative music is a way of collaborating with the machine, with collaborating with randomization as a tool. To look at an example of this, I'm going to go deeper into it, but we got just this one clip right now, and it's a C note here, and then I have another one here that's a C note. And if we look, there's a bunch of randomization happening in these MIDI effects before it goes to the instrument. So if I press play, there's already some interesting things that are happening there. All right, so let's talk a little bit more about generative music. Generative music describes music that is ever different and changing, and that is created by a system. By balancing random machine-generated content with logical constraints in human editing, we can quickly create new ideas. And the idea is using editing, the results of what you're making random sounds, and using logical constraints. In other words, setting aside certain parameters that it's going to work within, kind of like a scale. Because you don't want random notes everywhere, you want random notes within a scale. And then here I've separated these three things. We've got randomization, which is using the MIDI tools in Ableton Live. We've got velocity, note, LFO filters, and randomized playback. And then logical constraints would be things like a MIDI scale, or a min-max setting on these other things like velocity, or a note range saying only from the bass end or only the mid-range, and then chance control on certain parameters. Then for the editing, that's the human part where you go in and use your aesthetic, your choices to pick the things you like splicing samples, resampling, MIDI editing, and rendering these things out, stretching them, using them in different ways. That was a basic overview of what generative music is, but we're really going to get our hands dirty with making generative music by using effects. We can also use Max for Live, device randomization, all these different parts to create random new variations that we can edit and use in our production. In the next video, I'm going to show you how I built that example set. And it's also going to be a free download for you to get, and then go through the exercise if you want to really start getting your hands into generative music.